Hey guys, this is Solution PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading Green Through and Through by Another Fucking Robin. This is Chapter 8. Peter is standing, but not. There's no up or down, no floors or walls, but he knows that he is standing in a whirl of colors, swirling and mixing and exploding like hot paint. A fact that he doesn't know how he knows, but he does. It's nice, quiet, calm. He likes it here. He blinks, and Dr. Strange is hovering in front of him. He can't quite remember the last time he met the doctor. That's not right. He should know. Why do the memories keep dissolving before he can get a look at them? The effort it takes to dig through his mind for his most recent intact memories caused the colors around him to twist and tighten, knotting together, growing darker. Why can't he remember? A shaky hand rests on his shoulder. It pulls him through a portal, out of the weird mess of convulsing colors, to somewhere else. Peter doesn't know where. Not really focused on that. His hands are pulling at his hair, trying to reach into his skull and sort through his memories manually, vision blurry and disorganized. Why can't he remember? The shaky hand retreats, replaced by a larger, firmer grip. It holds him tighter, in a way few people can. Two more hands, smaller and slimmer, but no less powerful, pry his own away from his head, holding them gently. A deep, kind voice asks him, "What's wrong, Spidey? Aren't you happy to see us?" Luke. He knows Luke, remembers their last conversation. It was the day after he got his report card. He had told Matt, and for all the daredeviling, Matt couldn't keep his mouth shut and spilled about Peter's straight A's to every vigilante in New York. Luke had showed up at the end of school the next day and pulled Peter one of his signature Power Man hugs and handed him a bag of sweets the size of his torso, along with cards from Miss Temple and Miss Knight, as well as a post-it scribbled by Miss Jones with a doodled thumbs up on it. Probably from Malcolm. He remembers. The memory is so vivid and sharp, it feels like it's playing out in front of him. Luke's thumb rubs spirals into his shoulder, and Peter can practically hear Luke's smile radiating through the room. That's right. Do you remember that dumbass over there? He gestures to his right. To the man holding his hands. He's in his mid-20s, long, dirty blonde hair that reaches past his chin, and he's in a fancy-looking suit. Peter doesn't recognize him, but Luke is here. And if Luke is here, then that means that Danny. The name and all the memories that come with it hit him like a truck. Danny is the one holding his hand. He remembers his last meeting with him too. It was in Miss Wing's dojo with Wade. They were trying to teach him how to use various swords and proper techniques and skills, but it had quickly devolved into Peter egging the two of them on as they tried to see who could win a sword fight with the most marshmallows in their mouth. Danny toppled out at 11 and a half, but he couldn't stop dribbling everywhere. Wade made it all the way to 27 before he couldn't help but spit them all out. He only made it that far because he unhinged his jaw. He can feel Danny cringe at the memory. Now that he knows who it is, he can feel the telltale pulse of energy under Danny's skin, the way its rhythm mixes with that of his heartbeat. He didn't recognize Danny because he's wearing a suit, which sort of makes sense. But why would he dream Danny into a suit? Danny hates wearing suits. He only wears them when he's forced into them for important meetings. And even then, he makes it his mission to be as vocal as humanly possible about his hatred until he annoys everyone into submission and they let him change. Peter, you didn't dream me into a suit. What? It's what I got dusted in. What? Way to ease him into it, Danny. No. Luke's hand presses into his back, hard, harder than Luke would ever touch him. Danny's nails dig into his palms, hands clenched and heating up with chi. Both of their faces were darker expressions, more angular than before, emanating anguish and rage. It looked so wrong on them. Peter, a disembodied voice with a decidedly Sokovian accent says, a current of feral grief barely hidden from her words. Your emotions are affecting us. You need to breathe. Breathe? How can he breathe when Danny is dusted? Dead? He feels like he's drowning, like he's watching himself drown, oddly detached from himself, buried deep inside a cold shell, suffocating. Green is seeping through the spiderwebs of cracks, pulling around his feet, reflecting his despair back at him. Peter, she sounds desperate. He's pushed back into his body, back to the surface by an inky red fog. The terrifying numbness subsides, and he is struck by the full weight of his failure. He gasps through the pain, tears streaking down his face. He wants the numbness back. A figure crouches in front of him, places a clawed hand on his chest. It presses harshly on his torso, forcing him to expel a breath. It stays a while, until his lungs are near empty, oxygen dwindling. Then it relaxes, allowing him to take a breath in, hold, out. Again and again, forever and ever. Their clawed hand retracts eventually when they trust him to breathe on his own. He curls his arms around his head and makes himself small and closes his eyes. He will breathe better in the dark. He senses the silver-clawed man move away, feels the grip on his hands and shoulders loosen. He stays walled up for as long as it takes for the inside of his eyelids to stop being noxious and green. The touches leave at some point, knowing that they are hindering more than helping. He uncurls slowly, letting light filter in gradually. He does not recognize where he is, so he forces himself to get familiar with it. He hopes that focusing on things outside himself will be less painful. It looks like a dorm room, with a simple bed and desk and TV. The walls are lined with hooks that hang dozens of amulets and charms. A menorah sits on a shelf, surrounded by half-melted candle stumps and framed photos. A flag hangs above the headboard of the bed. Peter doesn't think he's ever seen it before. A red flower over a blue and green background. The room feels nice, lived in. Cataloging his surroundings, counting colors, textures, anything, it focuses him, at least enough to realize that there are people here with him. One on either side, Danny and Luke. Some by the bed that he recognizes, if vaguely. A man with a metal arm, one with goggles on his head, a green woman in a sharp-looking suit. They all smile at him warmly. Others he does not know, like the man with silver claws and a girl next to him with snarling panthers on her hands. There is a group of them that are blurry and faint, like he can't get visions to focus on them. There are 4 of those people, and he's pretty sure one of them is Dr. Strange. Well done, Peter, Wanda says from somewhere behind him, sounding thoroughly exhausted. You handled that very well, and I'm glad you like my room. He feels like very well is an exaggeration, but whatever. Now that the furious guilty pit in his stomach feels shallow and his numbness is banished, he is left with churning confusion. Where is he? Where are they? Why are they here? Does that mean he can go home? Someone needs to explain everything to him. We can't do this to him, man. It's just cruel. It's Sam who says that, glint from his goggles shining in Peter's eyes as he shakes his head around. What does he mean? That is why we brought him here, Mr. Wilson, says a clipped, cutting voice from somewhere in the room. An intimidating man with an eye patch and an even more intimidating woman step around the fuzzy figures and kneels down to his level. Is that Mariah Hill and Nick Fury? Oh my god, it's Mariah Hill and Nick Fury. How do you know that? Nicholas frickin' Fury questions. Come on, Fury, don't interrogate the poor kid. Ignoring Bucky's request, Fury sends him a glare so powerful Peter thanks the universe that the man only has one eye. I hacked the SHIELD database. I'm sorry, Mr. Fury. It won't happen again. I swear. It was a stupid... He's cut off by a hand wave. Fuck, kid. I was just curious. Not like it matters now anymore. Well, thank God. He thought he was going to be waterboarded by a pirate spy for information. He doesn't know what the director would do if he found out that he and Ned managed to hack into it in half an hour in a dare from MJ. Various people around the room try to hide their snorts and giggles under spontaneous coughing fits. Danny lets go of Peter's hands to hug his middle as he cackles. Luke chuckles and smiles at him proudly. Director Fury just stares into the distance, looking vaguely dead inside. Wait, can they hear his thoughts? He's met with the collective, yes! Oh. Commander Hill steps in for the director, paying no mind to his embarrassment. Peter, what's the last thing you remember? He doesn't know. Everything after getting on the bus and on the way to his field trip feels smudged and jumbled. He thinks that he remembers being in a fight, being in pain, everywhere. It felt like being made of burning sand. Like he had sparks in his veins, like... Peter, right, he has to stay calm. Inhale, exhale. Over and over until he stops flaking apart, until the horror and revulsion in the air dissipates. He's sorry. The last thing he remembers is green. Is that okay? It's okay, Peter, we promise. Okay. The awkward silence is interrupted by Director Fury's voice. Mr. Parker, he starts. We need to explain what happened before the green. But you can't freak out like that again. It is affecting all of us. Do you understand? He doesn't. Not really, but he nods. The director sighs. An alien called Thanos wiped out half of the universe with the Infinity Stones. You fought him and managed to snag a piece of the Soul Stone, which meant that when Thanos snapped, he couldn't fully erase our souls, which is why we're still here. You saved us. No, there's no way. He couldn't have fought an alien. He couldn't have an Infinity Stone. Humans die if they touch a stone, let alone use it. And he's very much not dead. He's right, Peter, the fuzzy impression of Dr. Strange says, along with nods and murmurs from the rest of the room. You didn't die for whatever reason. The stone chose you. The effort from using the stone to save so many of us, it hurt you. But the green that you remember, it healed you. But Peter didn't save them. He's damned them, robbed them of their eternal rest. He's the reason they're here with him in this stupid universe. No, Peter. It's my fault that we ended up in this universe. The doctor waits for his words to sink in. Before we fought Thanos, Tony asked me to teleport you back to Earth, should your life be in imminent danger. When Thanos used the Infinity Stone as my magic, and the magic of the stones clashed. My spell was intended to send you to Earth. The stone's intent was to erase you from existence. In an act of cosmic compromise, you were sent to Earth, just not our Earth. You have a piece of the Soul Stone. Which is why your soul was able to survive the trip, and why we're here with you. The doctor looks down, overwhelming guilt radiating off of him. Because of the way we got here, we can't go home. Not without the aid of the other 5 Infinity Stones, and they don't exist here. I did this. I'm so sorry, Peter. His tone is dripping in remorse, but his words sting like the lash of a whip. How could he? How could Tony? Has he not earned their trust? He's not a child that can't defend himself. He's fought countless villains, seen countless people die. He held a ferry together, pushed a building off himself. You don't do those things and remain a child, not really. How? No. He has to stay calm. He stuffs his emerald anger down and offers him a curt nod. It's not Strange's fault, not really. He just did what he thought was right. Besides, Peter can't find it in himself to blame anyone but himself. Sad looks are cast at him from around the room. The Green resurfaces. He wants them to stop. He doesn't want or deserve their pity. They stop. You need to wake up now. No. He doesn't want to wake up. He wants to stay. It's warm and safe and familiar here. There are people that know his name here. The waking world is cold and harsh and lonely. He doesn't want to go. But he can feel himself returning to his body, guided by inky red tendrils. He tries to fight it, thrashing and screaming, but his efforts are in vain. He jolts awake. Alright guys, and that is the end of chapter 8 of Green Through and Through by Another Fucking Robin. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next chapter.